Hello and happy Tuesday, class. I just want to tell you how proud I've been of all of you for all the work that you've been sending in. You guys have been doing excellent, excellent work, and I am proud to have you as my little soldiers. Today, before I teach you about one of our founding fathers, I'd like to review what we talked about yesterday with this guy. And do you remember this guy's name? What is his name? Benjamin Franklin, that's right. So, can you tell me a few things, one or two words that would describe Benjamin Franklin? Let's think about how we would describe Benjamin Franklin. We know that he was very wise, wasn't he? He was very wise. He made smart choices, right? If you're wise, you make smart choices. We know that he is a founding father. And what was that other interesting fact we learned about Benjamin Franklin yesterday? What did he do? What did he spend a lot of his time doing? He invented things, didn't he? Or he was an inventor. Speaking of being an inventor, what were some of his inventions? Did you think of some inventions? What did he invent? He invented, oh yeah, the rocking chair. That's a good one. What's that? Ah, flippers. He did invent flippers. What was it? Bifocals? He sure did. We've got a lot coming out of inventor for things that he invented. He also invented the Franklin stove, the lightning rod, good job, and a lot of other things. Today I'm going to teach you more about Thomas Jefferson. Now we know that Thomas Jefferson was the author of the Declaration of Independence, right? But he's also known for many other things. So I want you to listen to my reading today to find out what else Thomas Jefferson was known for or what his other contributions were. Benjamin Franklin enjoyed the company of another patriot, Thomas Jefferson from Virginia. Jefferson was often the youngest person in the room when the founders met in Philadelphia, whereas Franklin was often the oldest. Like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson was always ready to serve his country, but the place he most liked to be was at home with his family. When Thomas Jefferson was a young lawyer, he started building a house close to the farm where he grew up in Virginia. Built on a hill, he named it Monticello, which means little mountain in Italy. Say it with me, Monticello. Say it again, Monticello. Say it again, Monticello. Little mountain in Italian. He worked on it for many years, before, during, and after the war. Jefferson traveled in Europe and brought back many ideas from France and Italy. Because of Monticello and some other buildings he designed, Jefferson is called the father of American architecture. Now, architecture refers to the design of a building or the way that buildings look. That's their architecture. In fact, Jefferson was one of the people who worked on the design of Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson liked to invent things. For his house, he invented a pulley system that opened doors and a mechanical clock that kept track of the days of the week. He also invented a dumbwaiter, a shelf that could be piled high with food dishes raised from the kitchen downstairs up to the dining room, then lowered back down with empty dishes when the meal was over. That way they didn't have to carry the dishes up and down the stairs. Brilliant. Thomas Jefferson was one of the most important, writers in the colonies. Remember, he was the author of the Declaration of Independence. Because he wrote so many important papers and letters, he wanted to be able to make copies of them for himself. So Jefferson invented the first copy machine. As he wrote at his desk, a second pen was automatically writing the same thing right beside him. He also invented a lap desk that he could carry with him on horseback, holding all of his paperwork and office tools so that he could continue his work away from home. Wow, he's a smarty pants. After the Constitutional Convention and the election of George Washington as the country's first president, Thomas Jefferson returned to Virginia to work on Monticello. When he was not at Monticello, often he was off representing his country, sharing his ideas both in America and in Europe. George Washington served as president of the United States for 8 years. When he retired to Mount Vernon, another one of the founding fathers named John Adams took his place. So this is another one of the founding fathers that signed the Declaration of Independence. This is John Adams. So John Adams was the second president of the United States. Thomas Jefferson became John Adams' vice president. 4 years later, Thomas Jefferson became our nation's third president. In the 8 years that he was president, he did many things to help the young nation grow. One of the things that Thomas Jefferson believed in most was public education. He realized how fortunate he had been, having the chance to attend excellent schools all his life, but he knew that not everybody could afford to do so. Perhaps Jefferson's greatest project was planning for a public college in his state of Virginia. He designed the buildings, chose the subjects to be taught, and raised money to build the University of Virginia. The university was built on a friend's farm just down the hill from Monticello so that Jefferson could watch it being built. Thomas Jefferson died on the afternoon of July 4th, 1826. Just hours before the death of his friend John Adams. The second and third presidents of the United States of America died on the 50th anniversary of Independence Day. Like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson is remembered in many ways today. Some of our nickels or 5-cent coins, because a nickel's worth 5 cents, have a picture of Jefferson on one side of them and a picture of a domed building on the other. Can you guess what that domed building is? What is that on the back of our nickel? That's right, it's his beloved Monticello. So every time you see a nickel, take a look and you'll see Thomas Jefferson, our third president of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. On the back is his home, Monticello, because Thomas Jefferson was the father of what? American architecture. Good job, you guys. Now, do you guys remember what this is called for Mrs. Darcy's class? What is this thing called? Other than some wobbly-woo circles. It's called a what diagram? A Venn diagram. And what do we use a Venn diagram for? We use it to compare and contrast. Today we are going to compare two of our founding fathers, one being Benjamin Franklin and the other being Thomas Jefferson. Now, when we're comparing, remember that the ways that they are alike are in the middle, and the ways that they are not alike are in these bigger portions. So let's think about a way that they are alike. So something that both Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, one way that they are alike. What do you think? If you said wise, I think you're correct. They were both very wise and used their education well, didn't they? What's another way that these two are similar? What do you think? What's that? They're both founding fathers? Yes, they are. They're both founding fathers. So that's another way that they are alike. What else? What's one other way that they're alike? They both have their portrait on money, don't they? Benjamin Franklin is on the $100 bill, and Thomas Jefferson is on the nickel. So we can say that they both have their picture on money. And I'm just going to write money. Is that telling us? I'm going to actually write picture on money. Now, what's some ways that they are not alike? Some ways that they are not alike. Thomas Jefferson, what was he? He was a president of the United States, wasn't he? He was the third president. And was Ben Franklin ever president? Nope. What about Ben Franklin? He invented things, didn't he? Did Thomas Jefferson invent things? He did? Oh, so they were both inventors? Well, we're going to have to put this in the ways that they were alike. What's the way that Ben Franklin was not like Thomas Jefferson? What did it say in the reading? You got it. Ben Franklin was one of the oldest people, wasn't he? I think he was the oldest. And Thomas Jefferson, I'm going to change that to oldest representative in the Continental Congress. And what about Thomas Jefferson? He was the youngest representative. What else? What do you think we could add to our Venn diagram? Let me know on homeroom because I know there's more things that we can add to this. All right, little soldiers, go ahead and get out that core folder. You'll see that your next thing in here is a packet with a nickel on it. Who is this? You got it, Thomas Jefferson, our third president of the United States and a founding father. In here, you have the nickel for you to write your name on right here, and you can color. That'll remind you that a nickel will always have Thomas Jefferson's picture on it, and it's worth 5 cents. There's a coloring sheet here that has a little blurb about Thomas Jefferson, the third president. Another coloring sheet. And voila, you guys get to color today. Have a wonderful time, and I'll see you tomorrow, where I will teach you about liberty and justice for all. Where does that sound familiar from? What? That's right, the Pledge of Allegiance. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, it ends with liberty and justice for all. Let's say it now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to be talking about this phrase and whether or not there was liberty and justice for all. Did everybody have liberty and justice? Was everybody free? We're going to talk about it because I don't know if everybody was treated the same. So tune in tomorrow and I'll teach you all about that, little munchies. Little soldiers. See you later, alligator.